because of being in the call at the same time.
Okay, well.
Basement internet also.
Oh yeah. It got better though. I yelled at my ISP and said, "Hey, you know, I know I'm not an old person. I know. I give me the internet I pay for," and they basically said, "Okay."
All right, chat. Can you tell me if you hear anything now? You should have audio. I have video now.
Do you hear things? Are things being heard?
Alright, chat saying audio is good.
Alright, perfect. Alright, so you guys take it away. Give me a countdown when you guys are ready.
Alright, this is Alucard, all bosses for Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Countdown in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so you start out playing as Richter. Richter has really weird inputs. I'm going to be doing a bunch of complicated stuff here. And this is also, I get enough hearts to get a neutron bomb, which I'll be using for a skip at the start of the run. I'm going to be using up all my hearts so that I get something for the end of the run. So here I'm going to try to Holy Water and Hydro Storm at the same time. But do it in a weird way so the damage stacks. And I don't think I got any of them.
Yeah, it's somewhat... you can do things to increase your chances of getting the damage stack, but it's not something that'll happen all the time. But as he mentioned, he's defeating Drac in a very specific way so that he gets good stats and gets access to a heart refresh and a neutron bomb.
Yeah.
I guess I can kind of cover the first part because it's going to be a little fast-paced.
Yeah, go ahead and do it.
The first section here with Alucard, you're going to be seeing what's called shield dashing. What happens is there's a backdash in the game, but the last part of the backdash slows down considerably, while the first part is very quick. You can cancel the recovery frames on it by using your shield, which is on a separate button. So by alternating between backdash and shield, you can move much, much faster than if you were to just hold a direction normally. So what Cinnamon's going to be doing here is he's going to be killing a very specific amount of enemies to manipulate his experience. In a couple rooms from now, he's going to be just outside of the cutscene where Death takes your very powerful gear. He is going to use a level up gained off of the ward using the neutron bomb in a very specific spot. By doing this and gaining the level up at that spot, he's going to trick the game into allowing him to zone in to the next screen earlier than he should. That is going to make it so that he skips over the next screen, and that next screen is the cutscenes. So by skipping that screen, it allows him to keep all of his powerful Alucard gear for the rest of the run. Do we fall down the pit?
No,
okay,
no,
we did not fall down the pit. All right.
I did fall down the pit.
So if he falls down that little gap, that's a soft lock. So just, that's the main thing. Now that we're past that, we're kind of in the clear for a little. But did you want to kind of cover some of the early mechanics for Alucard, or a little bit about the clock rush?
Oh yeah, so this run's a marathon run and not that good. So normally I'd be wanting to get to Maria's clock room, where you first meet Maria at around 8 minutes in-game time, so that you have access to a new area without any waiting around. But you know, marathon run, that's not going to happen. But I'm going very quickly here. I'm killing things with low jumps and downward moves, so that I just don't lose any speed while I'm, you know, standing in place with my sword attacking. Anything else you want to add?
So we're going to be coming up to the first boss here, Sagar Gaibon, good old CV4 alumni. Pretty simple fight with this particular gear. Our good old Alucard runner is going to be using a jump and some jumping attacks to be able to hopefully kill them both at the same time. If not, it's totally fine. He just wants to keep them from moving much at all. Getting the double kill is preferable because it allows for slightly better experience routing, but it's okay though. Main thing is to get them out of the way as quickly as possible. So we're going to be continuing on and kind of making our way through the last of the alchemy lab to the marble gallery. As mentioned, we're going to be passing a cutscene with Maria shortly. That cutscene with Maria is the room we want to return to with the wolf relic in the 8-minute time limit. But we're going to go ahead and shoot for sub 9. That's what our goal is for the marathon stuff.
Yeah. I should be at Maria by now, just to give an estimate. But, you know, things kind of happened.
Yeah, there's a kind of a big misnomer for those who have seen Symphony of the Night being run, where they see shield dashing and they're like, I need to be able to shield dash super fast to run this game. And that's just not true. A big part of this game is, for the early part, is just consistent shield dashing. Just making sure you're not stuttering, you know. And then the other big thing is what I call transitional movement. Because you do need to attack as you're doing shield dashing, right? Mm-hmm. So a big part of it is being able to turn around, hit what you need to hit, and then get back to shield dashing as soon as possible. Making good, clean jumps is a big part too.
Yeah, I'm not doing any. I'm not doing any of those three right now.
But you know, as you get better at the game, like you start to realize that your shield dashing isn't the thing that's making your sub 8s. It's all your play around the shield dashing. Shield dashing helps, but you know you gotta work on the play around the shield dashing. And it's only a small part of the run. As we get further into this, you'll realize that he's shield dashing less and less, and other things become relevant.
Yeah.
So you picked up a stopwatch a few rooms ago inside of the marble gallery. You want to kind of talk about what that's going to be used for?
Stopwatch is the sub-weapon that freezes time. It freezes pretty much every minor enemy in place, and less minor enemies, they get slowed down a lot. Certain bosses, like the boss we're coming up to, they're going to be completely frozen in place. And because we have the overpowered starting gear with Def Skip, we are going to be able to do very, very fast kills with this weapon.
Yeah, and funny enough, even before the death skip was around, you were actually able to punch out Doppelganger with the amount of time that you have. Turns out punching is actually a really good weapon in this game if you don't have access to other things.
So I'm skipping that sword because I picked up a shield potion, and that's just to make my inventory clearer for when I get stuff later on.
Yeah, there's a little bit of inventory optimization as you get stronger inside of the run and stuff. So here you're seeing where I was saying about transitional movement, particularly. Like, yes, he wants to shield dash a little bit going up this outer part of the wall, but he also does need to kill things. He needs to jump up to platforms and then turn back around, things like that. Nice navigation through the Medusas so far. He's going to hit this switch to activate the elevator. And then he's going to enter a side room with the teleporter. The reason he does that is it respawns the elevator back at the top, so he doesn't need to wait for it. He's then going to pick up the Wolf Relic. Wolf Relic has a very interesting property we're going to see here in just a moment. When the wolf runs and jumps up a slope, it has very odd properties with its jump. And using that, he's going to use this kind of like wolf jump, we call it, to pick up a garnet much, much earlier than intended. A little later on, you're going to see what that garnet is used for. Also of note about the wolf, as it runs and jumps, it doesn't lose momentum, like it doesn't slow down during jumps. So I believe he's going to use that for the last part of the clock rush here.
I am indeed.
All right. So we spent all this time kind of sidetracking to be able to get the wolf. What is it that we're trying to accomplish with this wolf relic specifically?
Oh, we got the wolf because we can drop kick out of it.
All right.
And that'll allow us to access a higher portion in the clock room with Maria. Assuming that I get there.
That's going to allow us to get up to the Colosseum. Normally you can't drop kick unless you have double jump, but if you have a transformation and you untransform, you can dive kick out of it. So, very important to get that before we access it. There is a potential route to go faster using a 1 in 4,100 drop. The minute somebody submits a run with it, I am immediately proof calling it and then ostracizing the person from all communities because they will be a cheater. Um, but making our way into the Colosseum. And Cinnabon, you want to kind of talk about some of the things we're going to be seeing in the Colosseum here?
We're going to be seeing bosses that don't realize that a cutscene's not playing. We're going to be seeing enemies with AI manipulation. And we're going to be seeing a lot more lateral movement. And we're going to be seeing the Mist power-up. Or Soul Mist Relic, I guess.
So what makes the Mist Relic super important for this run? Specifically,
it cancels your momentum, which is very, very nice for Bat, but it also lets you pick up Bat, which is, you know, very important for going fast. Also, it lets you get access to Fairy Card a little bit earlier.
Yeah, a little fun manipulation there with the...
I messed it up, but that's not important right now. Okay, so these
Uh,
guys think there's a cutscene playing, but because we have a new game, we have a completed file on my hard drive. They don't realize that the cutscene stopped. And I can just hit them while they're, you know, in place. What is this movement right now?
Alright, and coming into this, he's going to be making a small sidetrack from the any percent route. Before using the library card, he's going to pick up a side item. In order to do that, he's going to use a Soul Steel to clear this room. This is going to give him access to the Shield Rod. The Shield Rod is going to be very important with the Alucard Shield to provide an offensive boost a little bit later inside of the round. But first I'm going to stay quiet here. He's going to have one of the more difficult tricks to do in the game right now, which is the book jump.
Yeah, it's a little random, but I did practice this, so hopefully it's going to work out. Nope.
Alright, so do you going to sidetrack or you want to wait for a little refill?
I'm going to wait for a refill. I don't mind.
Okay, so we got a little bit of downtime here. So he unfortunately traded with the book instead of dive kicking off of it. That is a potential thing that can go wrong. There are strategies to kind of mitigate the risk, but quite frankly, like, people are human. Like, they're going to make mistakes no matter what happens. Their manipulation's going to be slightly off or whatever. So in marathons, especially, and even in races, most people will err on the side of caution. It's just, you know, this is kind of one of those things that you have to buy into when you learn this game, particularly all bosses.
Alright, got it.
All right,
I did
good
go for the
stuff.
backup with the Mist, though.
Yeah, that's totally fine. So he wasn't 100% sure he was going to have the distance to reach that ledge, so he used a little bit of mobility from the Mist to cover that last little bit, which is always a good option, I think. So, the Fairy Card. The reason he spent so much effort picking it up. The Fairy Card, upon summoning, does a sound clip of her voice. This sound clip is actually going to break the scene with the Master Librarian and allow him to pause in the middle of the talking sequence and in the middle of the sell menu. What this is going to allow him to do is sell a garnet that is no longer in his inventory and underflow them, so the game thinks that he has 255 of them. This is going to give him essentially an arbitrarily high amount of money that he's going to buy a few items with. He's going to pick up the Jewel of Open, which he needs to complete the current route. He's going to pick up a Mana Prism. Did you grab an Elixir as well?
I usually don't get an Elixir. I
Okay.
should have, because it would have cleaned up my inventory, but I didn't think of that.
It's alright. So he got a Mana Prism, Buffalo Star, a Library Card, and a Duplicator. So I'll kind of cover those real quick. Duplicator is a relic that allows you, or accessory rather, that allows you to have infinite consumable items while it's equipped. He picks up a Buffalo Star, which is what you're seeing here. Buffalo Star is a second castle consumable item that has a huge amount of range on it and does tons of damage as a consumable item.
You can also shield back with it. Or
This is
backdash.
Lesser Demon. He's kind of a boss, I guess. And he picked up Mana Prism. Mana Prism gives you invincibility on use, and once it procs, it gives you a full mana bar. So it's very, very powerful when you have infinite of these. So we're going to be picking up Bat, and you're going to get to see the first little bit of why Bat is so powerful in this game.
That is very, 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 very fast. It's also, the input for it, the go fast, is a little odd. And chaining it together is a little odd. And it also consumes a lot of mana. So, that's part of the reason why we did stuff with the Garnet, so we could get infinite mana prisms.
I have a question. Did you put your Buffalo Star on? I didn't see
Yes,
it
I did.
actually change. Okay. All right. Kind of important there, otherwise he ends up back.
I've lost like 2 or 3 runs to that. I'm very cautious of that now. So Bat is very strong with its momentum. In those transition hallways, I did something called a Bat Dash, which is a backdash into a Bat movement. And that's very fast to do.
Yeah, the Bat tends to preserve your horizontal momentum. That's why things like backdashing into Bat makes you kind of slide across the screen. In a little bit, you will be seeing what is called a Bat Kick, which we'll see in a little bit. That involves using a dive kick with the Bat. Cinnamon mentioned that Wing Smash is a little bit of an odd motion. It's basically a 3/4 circle, but most people will do kind of a 360 in order to get better directional inputs out of it. The Wing Smash doesn't just go straight. It can also go up or down at an angle. And having good control, especially of your upward angles, is key to kind of mastering certain rooms inside of this game.
Like right there, I just barely made that corner. And there I was able to thread the needle through that small little gap. That's what he was talking about with vertical movement with the Bat. It's very tricky. But you do get a feel for it. You do get a feel for it.
You're also noticing that he's using the technique he mentioned earlier, which is called Mist Bat. Mist kills your momentum as the Bat, and then you can quickly redirect it in other places. Also of note with Wing Smash is if you do the motion again within about the first second of the animation, the game will take another portion of your mana bar and allow you to continue to Wing Smash. So it's what we call Infinite Wing Smash. This uses quite a bit of mana because it has to use mana every single time you do the input, but you can cover enormous distances with it very, very quickly.
Also, Wing Smashes aren't very good right now, but that's not important also.
Yeah, one of the biggest things also is I'm a big proponent of speedrun archival, which I touched a little bit with the Lords of Shadow game. But also, like, when you're first starting a speedrun, I think people get too hard on themselves a lot of the times. Like, everybody has to start somewhere, you know, and if you focus on the small things too much, you're going to miss the bigger picture. Like, you know, people focusing too much on shield dashing, you know, when they're taking 12 hits during the clock rush. Or maybe they're stuttering all the time during their clock rush, or maybe they're jumping to the moon, you know. Like, these are all things that can get better and get improved on. But, you know, the person focuses on that small thing. I gotta mash faster, you know. You know, cut yourself some slack and allow yourself to grow as a player.
Yeah, Mitako God has a very good run up on speedrun.com, and his mashing speed for shield dashing is incredibly slow. So you don't need to mash super fast for it. I mean, there is, you know, optimal fast play, but you don't need to go, you know, absurdly fast with it.
Okay, so you actually skipped over a portion of the screen there. You're going to want to talk a little bit about what happened.
Oh yeah, Cathedral Collision's terrible.
Yeah, so using the Shield Rod spell, the doors aren't programmed well in the Cathedral, so he was able to bypass a statue that was blocking his route to Olrox.
Yeah, so we're back where we were earlier, Orlox's quarters. Alright, I was taking that a little safe. I didn't want them to teleport around all day. We didn't cover this, but the Shield Rod spell with Alucard Shield is extremely broken. That was a boss, and it died because I put my shield against him. And the boss took a bunch of damage, I got a bunch of hearts, I healed, and I was invincible.
Yeah, the Alucard spell with the Shield Rod is one of the best combinations of the game for time efficiency to effectiveness. Something to keep in mind with it, though, is it does take mana every single time that you hit with it, and even when you flick out your shield.
Yeah, and it lasts
So
about...
he does need to budget his mana accordingly between that and Wing Smashing.
Yeah, and it also lasts about 71 seconds of the shield being held out.
It's pretty important also that he not run dry on mana at any given time. If he does, then he needs to recast the Shield Rod spell. So he kind of needs to... Like, if he's in danger of running out of mana, he might purposely drop something just to get into human form to use Mana Prism again. I guess that's another thing to mention. Mana Prism can only be used when you're in human form.
Yeah.
So, you know, that is a limitation on how quickly we can go through the game.
But you have an awesome bark.
We mentioned how fast. We mentioned how fast that the bat goes horizontally and kind of up and down at angles. Something it doesn't do so great is go up and down, though, right? So you picked up a relic to help with that, correct?
Yeah, gravity boots. The input is similar to Ripker's uppercut, but it's a little bit... That's not going to work. It's a little bit different in midair after out of a double jump or an animal transformation.
So what he's setting up right now is a pixel alignment to try to clip into the stairs here. Nice. Okay, so he picked it up pretty quickly there. That allows him to bypass going to a blue door and opening up the underground cavern section. So that saves about 30 seconds if you get it first attempt. So he saved a fair amount of time there still.
Why did I transform into bat there? What's going on?
So, the inputs, if you come from a fighting game background, the inputs that you do for Soten will feel very, very strange. And the reason for that is the input reader isn't necessarily bad for Soten, but it's very unintuitive what the game wants from you when you come from a background like fighting games. Soten wants a very specific way to press buttons, and if you don't do it in that way, then it just doesn't give it to you in the slightest. Which can be very frustrating, particularly if you're like so sure that you hit something and the game just doesn't want to give it to you.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. In fact, I've switched over to a lot of the bat movement to doing that with the stick as opposed to the D-pad, because I can do quarter circles and half circles and like 3/4 circles with the D-pad, but like Soten's different about that.
Yeah. So we're going to be coming up to Scylla, and I believe he's going to be trying to do the Scylla clip here.
Yep. I didn't equip Buffalo Star, but that's not a big deal, because this is a completely free trick.
Alright, so what he's doing here is using a door spawning to push him through the floor, and that bypasses a couple of rooms of backtracking. So another thing, I mentioned the bat retaining horizontal momentum. You've been seeing bat kicking here and there. You'll also see gravity bat, which is using a bat during kind of a diagonal gravity boot. And the bat will give you some very, very interesting and powerful angles on that as well. But now we're going to get to see sweet Donkey Kong hanging out here.
Yeah, Donkey Kong died of starvation in the making of this game, so he's a skeleton now.
Donkey Kong was an artist and died of exposure. Alright.
Also, these... Yeah, do you want to talk about the frogs? Because I think the frogs are worth talking about.
So the frogs are kind of jerks for positioning there. If they hit you when Donkey Kong throws, he can waste the barrel, which you need to break that plank. Also pretty notorious, the frogs and rock knights in the second castle. Their hitboxes can disjoint from their sprite. So you could literally die from what seems like open air, but it's actually an invisible frog or rock knight hitbox. So you notice we're not really talking about these bosses too much.
Oh yeah, no, bosses are trivial.
Yeah, the draw of this game isn't so much in the bosses, it's in like the movement and the strategies that you use in order to tackle certain rooms. You could definitely make like a more combat-centric kind of style of play, but there's so many powerful tools in Soten that you'd be greatly limiting yourself before you weren't just completely destroying bosses anyway. Like, even Glitchless destroys things with the shield rod. Kayanaka does a run that severely limits his offensive options, and he still blows up bosses using the gear that he gets. You know, it's a very wide open game, this Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, it has a lot of goofy things that wouldn't really fly in modern games. But you know, I love it for that.
Yeah, I think one of the big things when I was hearing about production notes for Soten was, even though Igarashi wasn't on for the entire development period for Soten as the main director, he would mention kind of like background stuff, like a big part of this game was literally somebody would just be like, hey, wouldn't this be cool? And they would just like throw it in. Like, not even really worrying about, you know, consistency of things or anything like that. They were just like, that sounds cool. It fits vaguely, toss it in. And that's why, if you look at the save files on like a memory card or whatever, there's like 50 different save file icons. It's insane. But, we've already picked up all the bosses that we're going to tackle inside the first castle before we make our way to the second. You'll notice that we haven't picked up the gold and silver rings or the holy glasses. That's because Richter's not really something we're going to do.
Yeah, this is all bosses asterisks.
Yeah, so Richter isn't counted as one of the bosses because he doesn't show up in the time attack menu as kind of one of the big things. But yeah, we don't end up having to defeat Richter, so because of that, we can actually skip him, just like we do in other versions of this. Do you want to kind of talk about what you're going to do to skip him?
Yeah, I'm going to turn into Wolf here and get specifically lined up and go to at a specific speed and a specific height, and I skip the trigger that would start Richter.
Yeah. So like kind of that opening in the doorway, there's a trigger point to load the Richter fight, and we are trying to bypass that.
Yeah, and we just fly over Richter. The game's, you know, kind of plays the cutscene. We're like, oh no, what have I done? Richter, you know, wakes from his curse or spell or whatever it is. But, you know, it's kind of over with already.
We're on to better things.
Yeah, so this is Inverted Castle, and the movement here gets really crazy because everything's upside down, so you kind of have to go through things in these sort of unintentional ways.
Yeah, Gravity Bat is definitely a huge tool in navigating the reverse castle because of how, like, kind of awkwardly a lot of rooms are shaped. So you kind of come from a background of quite a few games. What was the draw for you coming to Soten?
Well, this guy named Crisco Wild was doing a relay for a bunch of Castlevania games, and you know, he basically said, you know, we need runners, and I was like, all right, well, I've always been interested in playing a Castlevania game. Soten was my first Castlevania, and I went from a casual playthrough to speedrunning it in like a day. I basically played this game and could not put it down.
So what's kind of the draw for you then?
The movement. Kind of the movement is really, really fun. Like, I sort of got into it for the all bosses because I thought, oh, that means we're going to fight things. No, absolutely not. You do not fight things in Soten. If you're fighting something, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, there's quite a plethora of categories available for Symphony of the Night. Some I'm not such a fan of, but but there's definitely a large dearth of categories kind of for whatever type of way you do want to play it.
Yeah, no, I've actually had a lot of people say, like, hey, why aren't you doing 80% NSC? And I basically say I don't get dropkick in that category. Because this category, you pick up most of the fun movement tools. You know, you skip a few things like Power of Wolf, but which is basically like a Shine Spark with Wolf. But yeah, no, Soten has a very, very fun and interesting movement system to it. I should mention with the misbatting here, if you time it properly, you don't consume nearly as much mana.
Yeah, mana management is kind of a concern inside of that stairway section. But you're leaving behind the body parts.
Oh yeah, no. This is Soden. We have interesting ways of solving problems.
So the intended thing that you're supposed to do inside the second castle is pick up the Dracula body part relics to be able to reach the final part of the game. But we have ways around that.
Yeah, mention. Remember that heart refresh I mentioned way at the start of the run? That's going to be relevant. All right, not the best inverted marble gallery, but at least I got the cool gravity boot thing next to the Nova skeletons, which is sort of risky. Those Nova skeletons will tear you up.
Yeah, they have a laser beam they can shoot that does approximately, I think, 120 damage.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it can very easily kill you. So we did hold on to the stopwatch because we will be running into Doppelganger's bigger brother here. But he will equally be chumped out. We do have to wait very briefly at the start of the fight. And that is important because if you stopwatch him too quickly in this round, he has iframes and you can't hit him.
Yeah, I always wait for him to jump because I'm terrified of missing that.
Yeah, I usually wait for him to walk forward a little bit or just like move at all. And I'm like, okay.
Rude Jacobones.
Yeah, even though he does have very powerful armor through Alucard mail, he does need to be a little concerned about a few of these enemies.
Rocket Knights can deal a lot of damage. Oh, I got hit by the disjointed hitbox.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty common there because of the level ups you get. I guess that's something to mention. Whenever you transition a screen or get a level up, your inputs basically get wiped. So at that point, you need to decide if you have enough time to do the next wing smash, or if you need to miss bat to recover. A lot of runners will plan out their wing smash routines so that they're just ending the wing smash as they're about to transition or level up.
Yeah.
And that's
I would
kind of a big
normally
part
be
of
doing that
high-level
too,
play.
but this run is quite bad. So, Alright, here's one of my favorite move rooms in the game. The movement here, when you get it down right, is very snazzy looking. Basically, we're going very, very fast, and we're using the stopwatch so the bats don't completely destroy us. Alright, that went pretty well. That's one of the few things I actually practice consistently.
So we're coming up to the part where we're going to see a sweet Kid Dracula alumni. Good old Cosmic King Garamoth. This particular section is a little bit tricky. As I mentioned, room transitions and level ups can kind of ruin your wing smash inputs. The other tricky thing about that section is enemies are placed in kind of such a way that if you ever try to like bat dash or bat kick to recover, you're just going to run into another enemy.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway, we bite Galamoth's angle and he's dead.
very scary death animation, but Alucard can't be bothered to watch it, I guess.
Ooh, I don't know if I got... Yeah, no, that ate my wind smash.
Yeah, you'll notice that this castle is going considerably faster than the first, and that's since we have access to our bat and kind of all of our movement tech and our infinite mana, we're able to exploit our movement mechanics a lot more freely than we did in the first castle.
I don't know why I batted there, but okay. Alright, that was a little interesting.
Alright. And I mean, sometimes it's about doing things that make you feel comfortable as well. I mentioned how you should kind of cut yourself a break on things. I still don't think I'm that great at back kicking in those loading rooms. So a lot of the times I'll kind of interchangeably back kick, which is the faster method, or I'll do a back dash into wing smash, which is slightly slower, but since I'm much more comfortable with it, I don't have to worry about dropping it and potentially losing a second or something. So, you know, a lot of this stuff, like, you can kind of interchangeably take a slightly slower path, just to make sure that, you know, you feel comfortable with it, that you're not putting yourself in any danger, putting yourself on tilt with too many mistakes.
Yeah, even that a fairy card skip I did earlier, like, you don't need to do it that way. You can get bat first if you really want to. It's slower, but, like, this game has, you know, access to a lot of different skill levels if you're, you can play to a comfort level, which is very, very nice. Like, even right now, I'm not doing the most advanced strats.
Yeah, there's always room to improve in this game.
Yeah.
Like, always.
My PB is around, like, a 36, I believe, and is... What is it, like, now, a 31? High 31?
I don't know, man. They've been crunching that real hard lately. That's kind of one of the big things that's been getting pushed a little bit lately.
Yeah.
So Akmodon is a little bit odd. His hitbox is pretty backloaded. But luckily Alucard Shield kind of dealt with that pretty well. Also has basically the slowest death animation ever.
Yeah. I gotta start coming up with a better reference to, like, time a bat kick out of there. Alright, this next area coming up, they're imps, and these guys can stunlock Alucard for days. So hopefully that's not going to happen. I'm going to be misbatting a lot to get through here. And we got, you can see them all following me, just eager for a kill. Not really kill, just more like time loss, but, you know,
yeah,
they try their best.
That place is actually pretty dangerous, particularly in any percent. But the biggest issue with people is they panic in there, is a big thing. With access to heart refresh and stopwatch, you can always just blow a heart refresh and, like, stop time. But the thing is people want to go fast, they don't want to concede that time, and it ends up costing them. Sometimes it's better to just concede, hey, I made a mistake, and if I don't eat some time loss, I'm going to die. But, you know, eventually you kind of, like, learn to cope with it. And
nope, not taking that room
correctly.
I got bounced downwards, which is not...
Yeah, so we mentioned you can kind of go up and down with wing smashing. You can also hug terrain a lot, which can help your momentum in certain directions. Does he know the blue door buffer? He does not.
I don't know it.
I'm going to blow your mind. So when you go through a blue door, you can buffer a single input. So in that case, when you're going through that blue door, you can actually hold the bat, and you'll turn into bat as you're going through the door.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. It's pretty much useful in 2 places. But it's a nice little fun piece of tech.
Yeah, I should mention that I've only been running this game for, like, maybe 3 months now. I got a fairly decent time in it already, and a lot of people consider this to be the hard and sort of expertish category that, like, you touch once you're done with any % NSC. I went straight to this.
I'd like to mention that, yeah, I've seen you crunching on the game. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to watch really too much, but I've been seeing PvT, like, crunching on all bosses quite a bit. I wouldn't have agreed to do commentary for the run if I didn't think that he had put quite a bit of time and effort into this.
Alright, so heart refresh is kind of weird, and the collision here is also kind of weird. Alright, that should be it.
Yeah, and that's a similar skip to the death skip, where we're causing Alucard to kind of, like, spawn in the wall, and then when you're in a wall, Soten likes to zip you down, and it zips you into the roof of that final hallway, and then he's able to make his way into the final save.
Alright, I feel like I'm gonna run out of shield weld spell any second now.
Well, we'll see what happens.
I mean, like, who cares?
You
if I
have
run out?
approximately like 15 seconds.
Yeah,
on the boss.
time's coming up very
Time's coming
soon.
up. Yeah.
So this is Dracula. We're gonna behold his true form and gonna be despairing.
Right. Let me know. I think I got back just in time.
So we can hit him. Well, we could hit him if I didn't mess up. But yeah, time. I think that was 39 on the dot.
It's like 39:03, if anything.
All right. Dang. My goal for this run was sub 39, but yeah. Also, I use stopwatch just because stopwatch here, for whatever reason, the dialogue doesn't play. So the voice acting in this game is legendarily epic, but it doesn't play.
Yeah, that is a 3 seconds from the character control. That's where
Yeah.
that came from. So yeah, probably 39 flat.
All right.
Sweet castle in the background there, by the way.
Yeah.
Fear not. I had my own reasons for
Anyway, yeah, that's Soda and Alucard all bosses. This is not the best ending of the game. I believe the best ending is it's all relics, and you save Richter.
evil to triumph.
Best ending, you need to have 196% map.
Oh, I thought it was.
Which is a terrible category, and no one should ever run.
Yeah, that does not sound fun.
But people do. Or have, I should say.
All right, well, thanks a lot for being here, kind of on a whim, very late at night, for commentary. I feel like this made the run a lot more enjoyable to watch, and definitely a lot more enjoyable to play. I learned a lot of new things from you. And in fact, fun story, TurboDog has this very, very long YouTube playlist of Soden tricks and strategies and all that stuff. For intro, I was struggling for the longest time to figure out how Richter's slide kick would go off ledges quickly, and I realized that it's because I wasn't snapping back to neutral, and also that I was doing it with down forward, not down. So yeah. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I'm PvtCb, that was TurboDog, and Mash is the guy organizing all this stuff, so you know, we're like the Three Musketeers. We're doing good stuff here.
Shout outs to Talic Zealot, who also helps kind of educate people.
Major shout outs to Talic. Talic basically just pops in my chat and says you're doing something wrong, like on a daily basis when I'm streaming this game.
But, yeah, shout outs to the Soten crew that helps to teach other players, keeps it going. I do plan at some point, I keep saying sometime, but eventually I will redo the Soten tutorial just to make it a little bit better. But the information is out there if you guys are seeking it, and we do try to help as much as possible.
Yeah.
Glad to go ahead and help out with PvT here. Hopefully you kind of continue to work on the game here and there.
Yeah.
I know you're kind of a busy man with speedruns across the board, but hopefully you dip your toes in the water here and there.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be done with this category until I get like a 35, or at least I bought Talic.
Ooh,
You know, he's going to say you're playing on a different version, but you know.
He has an Xbox 360.
He does.
Alright.
Alright,
I'm going to
guys,
go ahead and
thanks.
dip out for here. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for the invite, PvT. Thank you to all the people who were watching my runs before this.
Yeah, that was
I'm
some
out of
good
here.
stuff.
I've been up for about 50 hours. So. I think
Oh Jesus. Okay, go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.